Possum Tales episode 2, and it's holidays in history.
Yeah. Do you have any?
I've been editing, so I guess I'm gonna wing this.
All right, so yes, welcome again to Possum Tales. This is Bill.
I'm Red.
That's Red. And today we're going to be talking about not so much holidays of history, but more along the lines of holidays and how they became part of our culture nowadays.
The history of holidays.
The history of holidays.
Haha.
Sounds kind of fun, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so
Let's get started.
since I actually have notes this time, unlike any other video that we do where I'm stumbling through because I forgot to bring my notes. I don't know how I'll do that every time, but I do. So, the first holiday that I'd like to cover is Samhain.
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 Okay, so if I had to guess, Samhain, Halloween?
Halloween.
Oh.
So, Samhain was a Celtic holiday that is still celebrated today by Celts all over the place. But most, it was the Celtic holiday, Samhain, which happens at the end of fall, middle of fall area of the Celtic calendar.
So is this like Samhain?
Probably the same holiday.
Okay.
It's just the Celtic word was Samhain.
Okay.
So they would dress up and dance around a fire. They would dress up, dance around a fire, and to ward off the spirits of the afterlife. But by the 8th century, Pope Gregory III, he said that we're not going to do that no more. Instead, he makes November 1st All Saints' Day, so that the Catholic Church would celebrate the different saints that had come and gone. Well, next step in that nice way of making
that little hodgepodge
of holidays all at the same day, or around the same day, around the same lunar cycle, put it that way, would have been at the end of November 1st to the beginning of November 2nd, and that is the Night of the Dead, or Day of the Dead, where you would celebrate and give offerings to your relatives that have gone before.
Okay.
And if you ever quit recognizing one of your relatives in this life, they would disappear from the afterlife.
Ooh.
That's where that comes from. But by, say, the middle part of the early part of the 1900s, they kind of just moppaged all that together and made Halloween.
And the Halloween we see today, that was brought to us by commerce, right?
Correct.
To where they, of course, they're going to want to make their money, and they make money on selling the candy, they make money on selling the costumes, and make money on selling the pumpkins. You know, it's just another money-grabbing day for commerce.
But it goes all back to as far back as people have written down things about the costumes, dressing up, and to ward off the evil spirits, or to have communion with the dead. And it's just a hodgepodge of several different things that have been going on for millennia. So
Okay.
That's where we come up with Samhain, which would be the
or
first time.
Samhain, or
All
Halloween,
All
or
Hallows Eve,
yeah.
Day of the Dead,
right?
Night of the Dead,
All Saints' Day.
All Saints' Day.
All that can be gumped into one
It
pile.
is 48 hours of fun and partying with a sweet tooth.
Sweet tooth?
Yes.
Okay.
So
It's stealing your kids' candy. How much candy did you steal this year from the kids?
I'll take the Fifth Amendment on that. I'm not going to do that. My kids actually listen to these podcasts, so therefore I'm not going to outs myself.
You're not going to incriminate yourself.
I'm not going to incriminate myself.
Well, this was the first holiday, or the first Halloween that we haven't celebrated Halloween in a long while. My kids are older. They're now becoming adults, and even though there was a talk of me helping to create an outfit, it just didn't come to fruition. And I'm kind of glad that part of my life is over, but yet I'm kind of sad about it as well.
Well, now you get to be the grandma.
Not now.
Well, eventually you'll be the grandma, and you'll just restart that again.
I'm looking forward to creating that pink bunny outfit for one of the kids, grandkids.
You shoot your eye out, kid.
All right, so that was Halloween, and just
so the next one on my list would be Valentine's Day, and you can take that all the way back to the 3rd century in Rome.
Okay.
Where there were, on 2 accounts at the same time, there were 2 different men that become saints, and both their names were Valentine. So what gave them their sainthood was, and we're talking 269 to 270 AD. Valentine, the Roman emperor at the time, Claudius would have been the Roman emperor at the time. He made a decree that 1, there should be no baptisms, and 2, there should be no marriage. And especially with the Christians, there should be no marriage between Christians or marriage at all. And his ideal behind that was that if all the women are married, then there's no women for him to go and say, "Ooh, I like that one. Bring her to the palace," because that would be scandalous.
That would be a good way to get around that
gets around that moral dilemma.
Uh-huh.
So if you outlawed marriage, then there's no married women, so therefore they are free for the taking, especially as Emperor Claudius makes it well done. So anyways, the 2 Valentines, one of them is publicly executed in the Colosseum, and he is executed for baptizing other criminals in the prison. And that was
how dare him?
Yeah, how dare him? He's being persecuted for his religious belief, and so instead of just submitting to the Roman emperor, he decides that he will baptize other prisoners in prison. The other Valentine, he is executed for committing the act of marriage among people. And he would marry people, and of course the Roman laws and the doctrine at the time, so that was a big no-no. And so he was executed.
Emperor wants his fun?
Emperor wanted his fun. Mr. Claudius, the emperor. And so that's where the St. Valentine's Day incident comes. Why they put it on February 14th, it is still a mystery to me. I could not find why it is put on that date. But I did find that when the Roman Catholic Church made Valentine a saint, they were under the assumption that it was one guy, and so there's 2 different churches in Europe that have skulls that state that they're Saint Valentine's skull, and Valentine was canonized as a saint on February 14th, 1303, I think it was. So that was a long time after he was born. And it doesn't become popular, and as we know it now, where you bring roses and show your undivided attention towards someone else, until the 1900s. And Hallmark actually is the one that makes Valentine's Day what it is today. The Hallmark Corporation did that, which is amazing. And a lot of these holidays, it comes down to either Macy's makes it that way, or the Coca-Cola Company goes, hey, let's up this. And in this case, for Valentine's Day, it was the Hallmark Company. They wanted to sell more cards. They did a good job.
Yeah.
Damn good job. So
yeah, that's another commerce holiday where it's all about, spending your money by buying flowers or candy, cards, things like that. It doesn't have anything to do with spending time with your loved one.
No, nothing.
It's how much can you spend on them?
Right. And I mean, and then if you, like I said, if you look back to when these two men were canonized, they weren't canonized for showing love and affection. They were canonized because they were martyrs to the Christian belief, and their only crime was, one, the religious beliefs, and two, going against the emperor, which, yeah. So I really don't understand why they were canonized, because it makes no sense to me. Especially understanding theology and especially Catholicism and its way. They canonize just the weirdest things sometimes. So, yep. Yeah. Moving on from heart-shaped cards to chicken skinning.
Chicken skinning. I was looking at the Wiccan calendar to see if there was anything that corresponded with Valentine's Day, and because the Wiccan calendar is normally like they bring in a lot of Celtic beliefs, or
if you're going to do that, look in the Georgian calendar.
Okay.
Because this is predominantly an Italian Roman thing.
Okay.
This says it unlike Samhain, which is a global celebration, this is only a Roman Italian.
Well, do we have any of the Roman gods that is to deal with love? And
right.
What days did they celebrate?
Aphrodite's.
Okay.
That would be a good one. And it's celebrated at the beginning of spring, so there is a correlation there. But I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I didn't dig that much into it.
Yeah, the closest thing in the Wiccan calendar, we would be midwinter, which it really doesn't have to do with love, kind of thing. So it would be a very
Easter
big,
would be more on that line.
It would be a very big stretch. No, Easter is more spring, new birth, things like that. So I could see where they could pull that out of the Celtic belief.
Right.
And turn it into a Catholic thing.
Right. Well, I mean, with most of these holidays, I think the Roman Empire was the biggest empire on the face of the earth at that time, and so they were very smart and forethought that it is a lot easier to adapt your customs or make a custom around the locals' custom than it is to tell the locals that, nope, you don't do that no more. We do it like this, and just slowly mold it in and allowing their culture to blend with the culture that you're bringing into their area.
Right. So
you get a lot of mixtures between the Babylonians, the Celts, the Germanic tribes, the Franks, the Byzantines. They just start the Roman Empire basically just took everybody's stuff and said, "Welcome back, Rick."
Thank you. Life is grand.
Yoda said hi.
Yeah. Yoda loves Debbie.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he does. So where were we? The Byzantines. So yes, by the time the Roman Empire had taken over, and I mean they pretty much conquered the modern world, and unlike the Cossacks or the Mongolians and stuff like that, who didn't have any care about trying to keep the populace in line, they just were going to conquer it. The Roman Empire, they wanted to continue a social kind of building, and so the easiest way was to mend and just mix their special days with the special days of the people that they were conquering. And then by the time that Constantine comes along, now you're going to take this religion that has been persecuted and everything, and now you've got to bring this religion in to it. And
well, and for it to succeed, then you've got to.
But they already had the structural of all these holidays in place already. So to bring the Christian aspect onto it, that's the reason, like the Pope makes All Saints Day. Or they take the winter solstice and make that Jesus' birthday.
Yeah.
Or they take the spring equinox and make it Easter. And I mean it's been proven time and time again that Jesus wasn't born in December, but they had to do something. And then considering that to the Celtic people and to most other earthy people that were of that time, the winter solstice is a very important day. It's new life. Right. All right. It's the bringing of new life. It's that turning point in winter. So it makes perfect sense to also make that the birth of Christ. Mm-hmm. It's the new point. It's the new beginning. It's the new Messiah. And so digging into these holidays and stuff, that's what I kept coming across, was that it's not so much that that's the date as much as it is the meaning behind why they put it there. Right. Spring, there you are, spring, everything that's dead now comes back to life. Mm-hmm. The resurrection. Right. Perfect time to put it there. Right. You wouldn't put it in the dead of summer because it wouldn't make no sense to farmers and gatherers, and it helped build this empire of religion, and it's that we still celebrate today, and it's constantly changing. I mean,
well, and constantly changing is a very good thing to say about it. Like growing up, we had the typical holidays, but holidays for me as an adult in my family, well, we've adjusted
a rotating schedule.
Yeah, we've adjusted ourselves where my husband has always been a civil servant, and he may not be off on what is considered a holiday. So we either don't celebrate that holiday or celebrate it on our own terms. It may be a day before, a day after. That was a conversation I was having with a friend of mine about Thanksgiving. We're doing Thanksgiving this year a week early, because we are able to get with family at that time because of schedules and stuff like that. So Thanksgiving Day, we probably won't do anything on Thanksgiving Day. And that is just fine with us because we've already celebrated the day that we give thanks. Do
you really want to celebrate Thanksgiving?
It was just one of those things that if we get together, then that's fine. But
maybe y'all should look into Thanksgiving. Maybe then you might not want to celebrate it.
But I'm not celebrating it according to the reason it was celebrated or the celebration was created to begin with. I truly, believe it's a day for family to get together and give thanks as a family. And the same with Christmas. There's been many Christmases that hubby is working. It's just another day, but we will get together and have a small meal. If other family is putting on a or a Christmas get together, yeah, of course we will do that. But we don't do the all out. Let's decorate everything in the neighborhood and see if it will shine from outer space. I don't necessarily care about the tree, all of the wrappings that come from the holiday, all of the stress and the anxiety and creating all of the stuff to make it perfect. I don't give a crap about that. The holiday is about giving and showing love, and that's what we choose to focus on.
Yeah, Thanksgiving, it was pretty much all made up.
Yeah.
The whole holiday was pretty much all made up. It was full of plagues and violence and murder. And 1621, it was considered a 3-day fasting because they were trying just to get that out. And the whole story of splitting bread with the Native Americans and everything like that, that's all made up.
Yep.
It's completely made up.
When did Thanksgiving come about? As what we know as a holiday today, here in the United States, when did that?
That would be 1930ish, 1930, okay. I want to say.
Yeah.
And it was brought back and put into mainstream, and by the 50s it was considered a tradition, and it was basically brought out for the same reasons that we have Black Friday today, the day afterwards, and that is the plain and simple of it, is that Macy's and Sears and Roebuck were in a battle to sell you, the consumer, more product. And so Macy's decided that they would start having a parade to show off stuff that they had for sale, because TV wasn't that popular, or TV didn't exist in the 30s, but it gave that showmanship to it. And so by the time the 50s came around, you were excited because you knew that week you were going to get your new Macy's catalog in, all right? That had all the wonderful stuff in it that was new and approved and awesome and just, and then on top of that, you got to see the parade on TV, and like you would see these things, and it was kind of like the home shopping network of its time, and it became to where other industries decided that, that's time to make a dollar. So that's how we came along with the Black Friday sales and stuff like that, which were actually started by the Sears and Roebuck company to counter the Macy's Day events. So you had Macy's on the 25th, the last Thursday of the month, and then on Friday you had Sears and Roebuck opening up with all these specials, and that was just the battle up until now. Now people try to hurt one another on Thanksgiving night and to get that new deal, because you got to have it. And that is exactly what Thanksgiving became, and it is. I mean, that's it. That belief that it was for commerce and for camaraderie and to spend time with family and stuff. No, not at all. I mean, in 1621, there was only 150 people in the village, and by December 8th, there was only 50 people left. And
yeah, I can see where you're coming from. So let's cook as much food as possible. That way, wife doesn't have to stand behind the stove for days on end. She can go shopping.
yeah, and that's exactly what it was.
And then buy all the Christmas gifts for everybody that you ever need to buy gifts for.
Well, you weren't doing it for Christmas. You were doing it to beat the Joneses.
Yeah, well, that's what Christmas
because
is.
Christmas started off as a winter solstice, then it went to a Christian holiday, 1,000 years later, to no longer being about sacrifice and it was a time for you to reflect and for you to fast. I mean, Thanksgiving and Christmas are both fasting holidays.
Nowadays,
you don't gorge yourself, and then you did not want any gifts. Like the whole thing about giving gifts at that time was that would go against what God said, because God gave us the greatest gift of all, His Son. If you want to get down to the nitty gritties on that, so by the time the Coca-Cola company came out, they had to change that mindset to where it's no longer about, not receiving gifts or the fact that we received the greatest gift of all times. Now we have to make it about giving gifts, because it's not about you. It's about making the other person feel good.
Well, and that's where I was leading to, that, today, Thanksgiving is the eating orgy to lead you to the shopping orgy of the year. You have to get gifts for everybody, including your kid's teacher and the mailman and, the lady that you see down the street, walking down the street from time to time. It's all about giving, yes, but it's an orgy of how big of how much money can I spend, and to show myself better than everybody else.
Right. The idea has been lost.
Right.
It's been completely lost. And besides the fact that the holiday was just made up, it was, it was completely lost on us. Basically, that's what it comes down to. Got another one?
No.
I do. Okay, Labor Day.
Ooh, Labor Day. That is a good one.
We don't really see Labor Day as
beer
a holiday.
Barbecue. Woohoo!
No. So in the 1880s, if you were in industrial America, you would work 12-hour days, 7 days a week. There was no days off. And it was poor working conditions. It was, you didn't have no benefits. Basically, if you didn't go to work, you didn't have a job. And it was very hard on the people. So on September 5th, 1882, in New York City, 10,000 workers took the day off without pay and then took to the streets. They considered that the first Labor Day, and it basically shut down the economy. Okay. Just that one town and 10,000 people not going to do their mundane, cotton weaving or whatever their job was.
Yeah, their factory job.
And it made a great statement. But it wasn't until the American Railroad Union got a little upset, and they decided to strike, to pull a strike. And so the American Railroad Union, just saying the name, you would probably think it is just like commerce, transportation, but in fact they ran all the subway systems, and they ran the Muni trains and stuff like that. So anybody that lived outside the city or trying to get through the cities. Mm-hmm. So the United States, the American Railroad Union, they had a strike. And in cities like Chicago and New York and Boston, there were so many people that hit the streets, either opposed to the strike or for the strike, that it caused riots and looting and just nasty stuff went down. Millions of dollars were spent in recovering from that one strike, so much so that the government had to step in, and the government started making labor laws. And that is the first time that we get labor laws. And one of the things that they said was that you could not, they would make a holiday for the workers, and that kind of calmed everyone down. And then it slowly, over time, the government has had to step in and make more and more labor laws because people. But we did not have Labor Day until 1894.
Okay.
Was the first actual Labor Day, and it is the first government issued holiday.
Okay.
That's why I wanted to cover it, because it is the first time that the government steps in and says, this is our holiday. Okay. Which now we have Memorial Day, Veterans Day, President's Day, Shipley Donuts Day, go down to your local Buc-ee's Day, like left shoe only day, don't wear your hat this way day. We will persecute you.
Lemon meringue pie day.
Yeah, we persecute you if you don't believe us in this way day. It is ridiculous when you start looking it up now, is that in the last 45 years, it has gotten to where if we celebrated every damn holiday, we would never do anything except party.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
So is that to top off our history of holidays?
Well, I just covered a couple of ones that I thought were interesting.
This wasn't supposed to be like an all-inclusive, every holiday in history. It's just more of to get you to realize that just because we celebrate something doesn't mean that that's what it was created for. And it doesn't mean that you have to celebrate it the same way that you've done in the past either.
Break the tradition, kids. All right, well, my name is Bill.
I'm Red.
And this has been another exciting episode of Possum Tales. Until next time, y'all keep that marsupial under wraps, all right?
Keep it safe.
Keep it clean. Later.
That's a good word.
Keep it clean.